Not knowing how to write a paper is extremely frustrating and is an issue which affects many unfortunate college students. So what are you supposed to do in a situation like that? Well, fortunately for us, writing a paper is much easier when you go into writing with a detailed plan. The first thing you want to do when starting to write a paper is to begin with a question related to the assignment. The answer to the question should be open to interpretation and shouldn't have only one correct answer. Explore the question, find out what stances people take on it, and figure out why they think what they do. Next, you should select a working topic. Remember that because this is a working topic, you don't have to stick with this topic for the entirety of the writing process. Identify what you already know about your topic from prior experiences, and based on this, adjust your question accordingly. Use technology to generate some ideas. This can include watching videos about the topic, or just reading random articles about the topic that you find interesting.
I'm Humpty Dumpty, king of wealth. This wall of gold is my throne.
Write a discovery draft with the information that you've obtained throughout the process so far. This discovery draft should include materials from previous assignments you've worked on, as well as some of the new ideas which you've developed earlier. After you've discovered and explored a topic, you should begin to examine the rhetorical context of the paper you're going to write. This includes identifying who your audience is, because the style of writing will differ depending on your audience, and considering the time, place, and purpose of the essay to determine whether your writing style for this particular paper is appropriate. Now that you're aware of the rhetorical context, go back to your review question and ask yourself if it's appropriate, and develop your discovery draft so that it also matches the rhetorical context as well. It's important that you select an appropriate medium for your paper as well.
Now that you've explored a topic, examine the rhetorical context, and selected an appropriate medium, you actually need to start writing the paper in a fashion that people will be able to understand you. First, you want to revisit your main question to make sure that it matches the rest of your paper. After that, you want to write a good guiding thesis statement to state your position on your main question. Now that you've written a guiding thesis statement, you need to review your discovery draft to make sure it ties in with your thesis statement. As you learn more about your topic and develop your position, you'll probably find that you will need to revise your thesis statement to reinforce your precision on the topic. This would be a good time to organize your main claims. You can do this by figuring out what they have in common and putting them into groups based on their similarities. You want to review your discovery draft again now that you've identified your main claims, so you can tweak your discovery draft so that it fits your essay better. Now you should have everything you need to write your first full draft. Next, refine your main supporting claims so that they're easier to understand and they go better with the rest of your paper. You should add structure to your essay by outlining what you're going to say in each section. Look over your draft and see what problems you can find with it. Find people to respond to what you wrote and see their perspective. Compare and contrast what people say about your paper and focus on the parts of the people's responses that are similar. If you show your draft to multiple people and one person says the opposite of what someone else is saying, consider what their reasoning would be, which would lead them to such different conclusions after reading the same thing.
The feedback you get is useless if you don't do anything with it. It's important that you revise with what people told you in the feedback and focus next on form. Then, consider the rhetorical situation and finally revisit your introduction and conclusion. Next, make your voice stronger and consider the rhetorical context. Also, consider whether you should use the first person. Finally, make it correct and make any last-minute changes.